The shocking true story of the largest heist in history. The investigation began with the kind of morning that Antwerp police officers dreaded, a cold, gray dawn settling over the diamond district like a warning. The streets were quiet, the storefront shutters still down, only the hum of early delivery trucks echoing between the narrow lanes. But inside the Antwerp Diamond Center, a storm was about to explode. At 5:30 a.m. on February 16, 2003, security guard Mark De Bruyne walked toward the basement vault for a routine check. He'd done the same walk hundreds of times. Swipe card. Metal staircase. Hum of fluorescent lights. Nothing unusual. But when he pushed open the steel door leading to the vault corridor, he froze. A handful of thin copper wires lay scattered on the floor like shed snakeskins. He took another step. More wires. A piece of black tape. A small screw. Then he saw it, the vault door. Wide open. The sight hit him like an electric jolt. The vault was designed to be impenetrable. Multiple locks. Motion sensors. Magnetic fields. Thermal detectors. Cameras. Reinforced steel. It was the most secure vault in Belgium, and arguably one of the strongest in the world. And yet, it yawned open like a mouth. Mark called it in, his voice trembling. Within minutes, Antwerp police, investigators, and later federal agents flooded the underground corridor. Flashlights swept across metallic surfaces. Officers moved from drawer to drawer, opening each one with the slow dread of pulling a sheet off a body. Empty. Dozens of them. In total, 109 deposit boxes were cleaned out. Diamonds, gold, luxury stones, cash. Over $100 million vanished without a single alarm being triggered. The vault looked untouched. No forced entry. No scratches. No broken hinges. Even the security cameras upstairs showed nothing suspicious. Whoever did this didn't just break in. They bypassed the system entirely, leaving behind a crime scene that felt more like a magic trick. Detective Johan Billy, a veteran of Antwerp's organized crime unit, arrived shortly after sunrise. He'd seen violent robberies, smuggling rings, international fraud, but nothing like this. As he stepped into the vault room, he whispered to his partner, "No one does this without help. Or genius." He wasn't wrong. As investigators spread across the vault floor, one officer noticed a plastic shopping bag resting on a top shelf, the kind someone would use for groceries. Inside was a half-eaten sandwich, a few scraps of paper, and a crumpled receipt. "Someone got hungry," the officer joked. But Billy wasn't laughing. He leaned over the table, eyes narrowing. Criminals who pull off multimillion-dollar heists don't leave trash behind. This wasn't carelessness, this was confusion. The vault was flawless, the drawers emptied with professional precision, the cameras blind. How could thieves this methodical leave a sandwich? Unless someone planted it. A distraction? A misdirection? As Billy examined the vault door, he spotted something that made him step back. A tiny piece of black plastic wedged between the lock plates. It looked like it didn't belong, not part of the original mechanism. He motioned to a technician. They removed it carefully, revealing a sliver of insulation tape wrapped around a small metal slat. The technician frowned. "This wasn't here before," he said. "And it didn't break anything," Billy added softly. "It prevented something." Before anyone could guess what that meant, a radio call crackled through the corridor. "We found something outside. Garbage bag. Looks like robbery debris." The detectives rushed to the alley behind the building. Inside the torn bag were latex gloves, leftover tools, and a pile of shredded tape. But one item made Billy stop cold. A single handwritten note in Italian. He recognized the signature symbol instantly, a tiny sketch of a fox. Rumors had circulated for years about a shadowy Italian thief known among European investigators as Il Volpe, the fox. A man who preferred intelligence over violence, precision over chaos. A thief who had pulled off dozens of smaller jobs in Italy and the Netherlands. A man who disappeared for long stretches, leaving behind only whispers in criminal circles. But he was a ghost. No photos. No verified fingerprints. No confirmed sightings. Could the fox have done this? As investigators loaded the evidence bag into a cruiser, Billy returned to the vault, the weight of the discovery sinking in. Something about the crime scene didn't match the typical Antwerp underworld. This wasn't a smash and grab. This wasn't inside help alone. This was a choreographed operation. One done by someone who knew the vault intimately, the routines, the blind spots, the weaknesses. Someone who had been here before. Someone who could walk through the security layers like a shadow. But the biggest shock came when a technician analyzing the vault's electric panel called out, "Detective, you'll want to see this." Behind the wall, inside a narrow cavity, they found something no one expected. A nest of tiny wires leading to a small homemade device. It wasn't connected to anything anymore. It wasn't active. But it shouldn't have existed at all. Someone rewired the vault, the technician said. Rewired it? Billy asked. More than that, the technician whispered. Someone learned how to shut it down from the inside. Billy felt the room tilt. If that was true, then whoever committed this heist didn't just break in. They mastered the vault. And someone inside the Diamond District may have helped them do it. Days after the discovery of the empty vault, Antwerp was buzzing. Media trucks lined the cobblestone streets, satellite dishes pointed like antennas to the heavens. Headlines screamed, $100 million diamond heist, mystery of the century. The world watched in disbelief, and investigators felt the pressure like never before. Detective Johann Billy stood in the empty vault, retracing the steps of the thieves. Every inch of the steel floor, every drawer, every corner, held a story, if you knew how to read it. But what story could this be telling? The thieves had left almost nothing. No fingerprints, no footprints, no camera evidence. Only whispers of precision and a faint, chilling signature, control. The first breakthrough came from inside the police lab. Forensic technician Sabine Lambert called Billy with a shaky voice. Detective, we've analyzed the tape fragments, the insulation, and even the gloves. There's a pattern. The cuts, they're consistent with one person's style. Not a team. One operator. Precise, calm, professional. Billy pinched the bridge of his nose. One person? But how? You need help to empty 109 deposit boxes, carry that weight, handle that volume, alone. Sabine hesitated. Yes, but the operation could have been months in the making. Observing routines, mapping the cameras, memorizing patrol timings. One man could orchestrate it, like a puppeteer, while others played small roles as decoys. A chill ran down Billy's spine. The heist suddenly felt more like a chess game than a burglary. And somewhere in Antwerp, the fox, El Volpe, was watching their moves, smiling at the chaos he left behind. Meanwhile, the investigation team dug into Leonardo Notarbartolo, the Italian man later suspected of orchestrating the heist. His background was almost too perfect. Notarbartolo had no criminal record strong enough to trigger alarms, yet he had an uncanny knack for security systems, a history of small-scale thefts across Europe, and a fascination with diamond vaults. His meticulous notebooks revealed sketches of locks, floor plans, guard rotations, a blueprint of obsession. One sketch caught Billy's eye, a replica of the Antwerp Diamond Center's vault, complete with handwritten notes in Italian. If this is in his possession, Billy murmured, he either did it, or someone used him as a template. Interviews with his acquaintances painted a man who was brilliant but invisible. He rented a small office across the street from the Diamond Center under a fake name. There, investigators discovered an array of cameras, binoculars, and even a miniature replica vault with working locks, the same kind used at the real Diamond Center. He had rehearsed the entire heist for months, perhaps years. Then came the trail of shadows. Authorities traced deliveries, office leases, and personal contacts. Each clue led to a dead end or a lie. One courier was detained, claiming he delivered envelopes and small packages to Notarbartolo's office, but refused to reveal their contents. Days of surveillance yielded no illegal activity. No one saw the men carrying diamonds, no vehicles left suspiciously. The heist seemed almost supernatural. But Billy knew better. The crime was all too human. And human ingenuity is always terrifying. Then, a breakthrough, a witness. A night janitor working in an adjacent building remembered seeing a man in a dark overcoat climbing down the alley behind the Diamond Center weeks before the heist. The description: small, calculated movements, hands gloved, carrying what looked like tools, matched the image Billy had in his mind: methodical, patient, and dangerous. The janitor's observation confirmed what the investigators feared: the mastermind had been inside their midst, invisible in plain sight. The pieces started connecting. Months of surveillance, meticulous planning, inside knowledge of security measures. This wasn't just theft. This was the culmination of a life spent mastering vulnerabilities. And yet, something gnawed at Billy. The stolen diamonds were never traced. Not a single stone surfaced on the market. Not a rumor, not a sale, not a trace. Someone had disappeared into the shadows with millions, leaving authorities chasing ghosts. Then came the chilling revelation. During analysis of the vault's alarm system, technicians discovered subtle modifications. The alarm circuits had been tampered with weeks before the heist. Someone had created a delay system, allowing hours of safe movement without triggering alerts. And whoever did this had done so while blending into daily life, unnoticed by everyone, including the security staff. It was more than a heist. It was a symphony of deception. But the most shocking twist lay hidden in a seemingly insignificant detail: the air vents. One small vent above the vault door had been slightly loosened, barely noticeable to the naked eye. Inside, investigators found fragments of rubber gloves and a tiny strip of leather, not enough to identify anyone, but enough to prove that someone had moved through the vent system during the heist. A man could have crawled in, manipulated locks, and exited without ever touching the floor. One operator. Invisible. Untouchable. Billy paced the vault floor. He thought of Notarbartolo, the fox, and the layers of deception. "We're not hunting a thief," he muttered to himself. "We're hunting a ghost." And as the sun set over Antwerp, casting long shadows across the empty streets, the detectives realized something unsettling. The man who had executed the heist wasn't just clever. He was patient, disciplined, and ruthless. And the greatest danger lay not in the past heist, but in the possibility that he was still planning the next one. Because the fox, Billy knew, was not done. He never would be. And somewhere, in the quiet office across the street from the Diamond Center, the mastermind was watching, waiting, invisible, and ready. The city of Antwerp had never felt emptier. Months had passed since the infamous diamond heist, and yet every investigator, every guard, and every journalist felt the same unease. The thief had vanished completely. Not a single trace of the $100 million in diamonds had surfaced. The world speculated. The media spun wild theories of mafia involvement, offshore laundering, or daring escapes to tropical paradises. But Detective Johann Billy knew better. This was the work of a single, methodical mastermind, one who had meticulously erased his presence from the world. The investigation team doubled down. They examined Notarbartolo's movements in Italy, retraced his travel history across Europe, and analyzed financial transactions. Every bank, every safe deposit box, every wire transfer had been carefully manipulated or avoided entirely. He was ghosting, slipping between cracks that no ordinary thief could navigate. For every lead, a dead end. For every clue, a shadow. Then came the first significant break, a letter intercepted by Belgian customs, addressed to a small boutique in Milan. It contained a cryptic note, written in Italian: "The fox sleeps in plain sight. Look for the ordinary." No signature, no return address. It was a taunt. A challenge. The fox was toying with them, daring authorities to chase shadows while he walked free. Inside Antwerp's police headquarters, tension was palpable. Detectives worked day and night, going through surveillance footage frame by frame, interviewing hundreds of witnesses, and cross-checking identities. Yet, the thief's cunning became painfully evident. He had studied human behavior as much as security systems. Every guard's routine, every camera blind spot, every potential observer. He had mapped them all and exploited them without leaving a single mistake. As weeks turned into months, investigators began to uncover the psychological profile of the fox. He was meticulous, patient, and calculating. He understood that the true power of a heist lay not just in the theft, but in control. By vanishing completely, he had turned Antwerp into a city of speculation, fear, and obsession. The world became his stage, and law enforcement his audience. The breakthrough, however, came from an unexpected angle. A former accomplice, long incarcerated for unrelated crimes, was released and quietly contacted authorities. Fearful, yet desperate to cooperate, he revealed fragments of the operation, the rehearsals, the detailed knowledge of the vault's inner workings, the insider access. He confirmed what detectives had long suspected: Notarbartolo had not acted entirely alone in the planning stages. There had been observers, helpers who remained shadows themselves, whose identities were never fully confirmed. But when it came to execution, the fox moved alone, slipping through vents, manipulating locks, and leaving nothing but empty drawers in his wake. Even more astonishing was the scale of preparation. According to the accomplice, the thieves had spent months renting offices around the Diamond Center, building life-sized replicas of the vault, and timing every guard's movement with atomic precision. Every detail, the air vents, the insulation tapes, the fake alarms, was part of a meticulously choreographed ballet of deception. It was a crime that blurred the line between genius and obsession. Public fascination reached its peak when the trial of Notarbartolo began. Although he was arrested and charged, the prosecution faced a nearly impossible challenge. Most of the diamonds were gone. No cameras had captured him in the act. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses. He sat in court calm, unflinching, his presence almost daring the world to admit defeat. And defeat they did, for the most part. While Notarbartolo served time for conspiracy, the bulk of the stolen fortune remained unaccounted for, sparking endless speculation. Even decades later, experts continue to analyze the heist. Some claim that Notarbartolo or his associates melted down the diamonds and laundered them through multiple channels, disappearing into the global underground diamond trade. Others suggest that he buried a portion of the loot in secret locations, planning to retrieve it years later. Some believe the fox simply disappeared into another country, leaving behind a legend that law enforcement could never fully unravel. For Detective Billy, the case remained a haunting reminder of the limits of control. He often returned to the vault in his mind, replaying every step, every blind spot, every subtle miscalculation, and yet he understood why the heist became the most talked about in modern history. It was not merely theft, it was a psychological war, a statement of intellect, patience, and absolute control. It was a testament to human ingenuity and audacity, a demonstration of how far one mind could manipulate the world with preparation, patience, and courage. And so, Antwerp, once shaken to its core, slowly returned to normal. Jewelers reinforced their vaults, banks upgraded security, and authorities shared lessons worldwide. Yet, the legend of the fox endured, whispered in law enforcement offices, retold in documentaries, and analyzed in criminal psychology classes. No one could deny the brilliance, audacity, and sheer perfection of the operation. Hold on to your seats, hit that like button, subscribe and don't blink, because the deeper we go, the stranger, darker, and more calculated this heist becomes.